Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome to Manor Lords, or welcome back to Manor Lords. It's been a really long time since we played this game. In fact, we haven't played this since it came out in Steam Early Access, and before that, it was during one of the Steam Next Fest sales, or event things, whatever those are called. It was during that I first played Manor Lords, and I think it was during that a lot of us were first introduced to Manor Lords and what this game was about. And for those of you that remember that demo, it was such a good time. Although you couldn't save, there was no saving your progress. So you played for like 3 hours and then you stop and you lose everything. Now, like I said, I haven't played this since it sort of came out, and there have been some updates to Manor Lords since. At the moment, I'm playing on a early access version of the game. I don't think the update is out on like the main branch of the game yet, but we're gonna check it out. We're gonna see what it's about, and we're gonna have a good time with Manor Lords. I love this game. I love that I get to come back to games like this every now and then, and I'm really excited to see what we're gonna do this time with Manor Lords. Now, this is going to be our setup. I figure this portrait is pretty good. I kind of like what's going on with the bowl cut over here. The beard is looking pretty good as well. The name is obviously just going to be mine. And our coat of arms is, of course, going to be this good mythical morning looking chicken thing that we have going on right here. And then when it comes to scenario templates, I know there are some new ones available. I will say this one looks like the art from a game called, I don't remember if this looks like it's from Chivalry or if this looks like, I know this is from Manor Lords, but it reminds me so much of a game called Chivalry, Medieval Warfare, or Mordhau. I can't remember which of those games, but regardless, what I'm thinking we're gonna do is go for the Fractured Realm scenario. Now, the premise is that 4 major noble families were granted rights to settle these lands. With too many claims and too little space, ambition brews. Alliances will form, betrayals will sting, and war seems inevitable. Now, the victory conditions are to conquer all of our rivals. We're going to keep all of our settings default because that seems like the best way to go. And I think the map in question, I think there's some new ones in here that I haven't played before. Devil's Hill looks very, very cool. I love the idea of just having this big old hill in the middle, but I also like the idea of being around a lake. I think this is going to slow the game down a little bit, and I'm sort of okay with the idea of having the game be just a little bit slower, since we'll have to go around this instead of across it. And what I think I'm going to do, just to give myself a little bit more of an advantage, is I'm going to move me up to this space and have all of the opposition down here. I think this seems like a really good idea. In fact, I'm going to move you into this space, and I think that way we have a river between us and them. We have some space to sort of come down this way if that's a thing that we want to do. So this, I guess, will be our starting conditions. And here we go. Here we are back in Manor Lords. We have a new message. Build up your town, your manor, and when ready, press claims towards regions owned by your opponents. Once a claim has been pressed, be ready for battle. I will unite these lands under my rule, is what I'm going to do. Now, I did mention that I haven't played Manor Lords in quite some time, so we are going to be following through the tutorials because I know me coming back to this, I need to remember how to play it. I did put a couple of hours into it a couple of weeks ago, but we'll go through the tutorials both for my sake and for yours. If you happen to be new to the game, then, you know, we can learn it together. So, getting started. Families require supplies and living space. Supplies consist of food and fuel and can be monitored in the region panel at the top of the UI. So that's going to be this stuff up here. Living space is primarily increased by building or expanding burgage plots. Food will spoil rapidly if not stored in a granary. Similarly, exposed goods may take weather damage if not in a storehouse. So we're going to pause the game and have a look at what we're dealing with here. This is our starting point right here. We have some stone very, very close by. We have a surface deposit of iron which is a rich resource node and has endless underground deposits. So we essentially have a potentially infinite supply of iron right next to where we're starting. We also have a potentially infinite supply of clay right next to where we're starting as well. And we have a little pond over here with some fish, so that's going to be a source of food. We have a source of food over here with some mushrooms, which are going to be seasonal, so that's kind of fantastic news as well. And this, I guess, is going to be our region view. This is just essentially showing us who owns what and where everybody is. So if we have a little look here, we don't have too much. We don't have any hunting in our territory, which is a little bit unfortunate. We don't have any salt in our territory. We don't have any brigands or bandits. We do have a rich node of mushrooms down that way in that neighboring territory. Is there any hunting anywhere nearby? There actually isn't, which is really surprising. There is a rich resource node of eel over that way. These guys have a rich node of salt. These guys have a rich node of stone. They have some berries, and they have some wild animals as well. They have some wild animals too. And these guys also, I suppose, do have some wild animals. Okay. Well, that's fine. So we're not going to be worrying about hunting right off the bat. I guess what we're going to want to do is get ourselves some gatherers for these the mushrooms over here, get ourselves some fishing for the fish that we have over here, and then we can start dealing with clay and iron and stone a little bit later on. I think the most important things to do will be obviously getting housing, getting a supply of wood and lumber and firewood as well. So we'll come down this way. We'll start having a look at construction. And when considering what to build and where, be sure to check all of your region's resource deposits and investigate the soil fertility using the overlays on the right side of the screen. To get started, we will want a logging camp to ensure the production of timber. So the logging camp is going to be this guy right here. It is going to take down trees nearby and produce just logs, which we're absolutely going to need. We do have plenty of woodland nearby. So I think what we'll do is just rotate this guy around a little bit. We'll just put it right about there. I think is going to be a great spot for our logging camp. Now, when placing new buildings, the required construction materials need to be physically brought to the construction site. Unassigned families will perform construction tasks until the building is fully constructed. Oxen are necessary to haul heavy materials such as timber, and you can purchase more oxen directly from the hitching post with regional wealth to speed up logistics. So that would be our little hitching post right here. If I wanted to, I could spend 20 regional wealth to get another ox. I think we're probably good not doing that right now, but I'm not going to unpause the game yet either, because there are some other things that we need to do. We are going to need some firewood. We need a source of this. So I figure what we'll do is put a little woodcutter's lodge just, oh, that was the wrong button. We'll put a little woodcutter's lodge just here. So again, it's going to be relatively close to where we have our lumber yard thing, but that should be okay. It can live right about there. We are, I suppose, going to want to get ourselves a fisherman's hut as well. We do have 5 timber sitting around here. In fact, I wonder if it would maybe be a better idea to get ourselves a granary and a storehouse first. I don't know if it's all that important, but I do think it might be a good idea. So I'll tell you what, let's do some roads. Let's get some roads in here and let's figure out where all of this is going. Now we do have some contour lines in here that we can see. We are obviously a bit of a ways away from this main road over here, but I think what we'll do is just build a regular little road sort of down through the middle of this space. I think right about there should be good. We can go ahead and sort of connect, I guess, these guys together. Now we do have, if I hold control and scroll my mouse wheel rather, I can sort of change the curvature on these roads a little bit to get them to come together really nicely. So we could do something like this to connect those buildings. We could bring a little something just out this way as well. And I guess what we'll do is sort of connect this guy up to that road right about there, just so we have that connection, and that should be totally fine. And then what I want to do is I want to go in here, I want to get a granary, and it can snap to this road perfectly. So I think, I want to say this corner is a pretty good spot for something like a granary. I think it's kind of a cool spot for it. So I think right about there for the granary is fine. And then the storehouse can sort of just go next door. Now I would like to disable snap to road. I want to rotate it freely, and I want to put this guy really neatly in that corner. So right about there is going to be perfect for our storehouse. Now, in terms of priorities, I think we want to say the logging camp is going to be the highest priority. I think that is obviously really important. I think following that, we probably want to do the storehouse. I think that's going to be a really big deal. I think then we do the granary, and then we do the woodcutter's lodge. So if we do everything properly, we get this thing going first. We get a supply of lumber, which we can use to build other things. And I think we'll speed the game up just a little bit. I don't remember what the hotkeys are for speeding things up, so we'll just speed things up with the mouse. We'll get these guys moving around, and we'll get everything built nice and quickly. Now, this thing should be relatively quick to come together, and I do love that it comes together properly. That's one of my favorite things, is just the amount of detail in this game. It reminds me a little bit of Stonehearth, in the sense that the buildings actually get built bit by bit. Obviously, Stonehearth is a very different game, and no, we're not playing Stonehearth again. I know there'll be people that think we're not going back to it. It doesn't work. It's old and abandoned. Anyway, for a building to start production, you must assign a family to it. Once assigned, families perform work-related tasks and transport any required crafting materials. So we'll put a family in here, which means that our logging camp is now up and running, which is amazing news. The storehouse is up and running now as well, and they will need a market area for their stall, which is fine. We'll get the granary up and running so that we can move food into storage. And the beautiful thing here is these guys are going to be straight out. They're going to be straight working, and they're going to be getting us some lumber so we can start making more things. And apparently we're running out of food, which has me really worried. We have 2 months of food. Okay. I'll tell you what we need to do. We need some food production. Is what we need. We need a forager is going to live out this way, I think. And that's going to give us a source of mushrooms at the very least. It's going to be a bit of a distance to cover, but I think it's going to be, well, I think it's just necessary. So let's build a forager right about here. And what we can do is connect this guy. We are sort of ignoring these contour lines, but I think we just sort of go straight down this way. We'll try and follow that one contour line there. And we're going to bring this path, I guess, through the forest. And we'll connect it to our little town just over here. And we'll bring that back ever so slightly, because I think I can get a really good connection right here if I just bring it to about there. And you know what? We can connect you to the path as well, just to give a little bit more access there. And hopefully this thing gets built nice and quickly. I think it needs to be a really high priority. I think that's going to be a given. And I think maybe it would be an idea to get a fisherman's hut as well. I do. I think maybe we want to put one of these guys just back here. It is going to take 2 lumber to build that guy, but we should be all right. And I'm also thinking we could do a little bit of a path just around our little lumber camp thing right here. So we'll go to about there. We'll go to about there. And then from this corner, we can go out to our little fishing hut, I suppose, and everything should be good. So we'll go and connect it out like this. That gives us some road connections. I'm really hoping that we don't run out of food and starve to death instantly. It would be really embarrassing if, it'd be really embarrassing if I just fail miserably at the first hurdle, which is, you know, feeding people. That's not, it's not going to be good. Let's get the fisherman's hut as a slightly higher priority as well. The forager hut is thankfully done. Now, how many, let's see, we have 2 unassigned families. Let me put 1 to work in the forager hut. So we instantly have a source of mushrooms right there. We're not going to put anybody in the fisherman's hut yet, because we're actually going to need houses. So if we have a little bit of a look here, we have 4 timber. Now, we're going to want to build burgage plots. Burgage plots are the houses in Manor Lords, and they work in an amazing way. If you don't know how burgage plots work in this game, it's so good. It is so good, and I love it so much. But they do cost, I think, 2 timber per plot. So I am going to have to save up a little bit. I'm also going to move the little hitching post right there so it's in a bit of a better spot so that it's kind of out of the way of absolutely everything. We have 6 timber right now, so we're going to need 10. We need 10 timber for 5 burgage plots, which is enough to give us a house for every single family that we have. We're also up to 7 months of food, same thing, arguably, with no fuel consumption right now, because obviously we don't have houses and obviously we don't have a woodcutter. So we'll not worry too much about it. We're up to 8 timber. So I guess we can have a little bit of a look at these burgage plots. Now they are flexible. This is the really cool thing about them. Some buildings have flexible borders. You want to place 4 plot points to designate an area, and then the cursor will snap to roads and buildings to create an organic shape. You can increase the area for backyard extensions, and the first 2 plot points indicate the facing direction of the building. So basically, if I wanted to build myself some burgage plots, I could go here. I can come around like this, and I can do, well, maybe not that. That doesn't look great, but I could do something like this, which is going to give me, well, it's still not quite what I'm looking for. It's still not quite what I'm looking for, but I think there is a world in which I can kind of make this work. Yeah, just something like this is technically possible. It's very weird looking, I will admit, but it's also very cool looking, and the fact that you can do this in this game is wonderful. It's like one of my favorite features in all of Manor Lords is the fact that you can build your plots so dynamically. Now, we do need more than just the 5 burgage plots to expand things. And doing it this way, those little bits at the backs of the burgage plots, those can be turned into things like vegetable gardens. So what I'm going to do, I think, is build 6 houses, and this should give us some expansion. So we'll build them just like this. It'll take a moment for them all to come together, but that will give us houses. That should make people happy, and it should bring people into our little settlement, which is called Hater Wand right now, which is totally fine. And here's the other thing. If I'm not mistaken, we can go into this whole thing. We can specialize our regions. So here you can view detailed information about this region. With each settlement level reached, you will be granted a development point to spend on a permanent upgrade to your region. The Environment tab gives you a breakdown of this region's environmental strengths and how affinities affect your buildings. The Records tab details your trade history as well as the production and consumption of all goods in your region. Now that's all well and good, but what I'm looking for specifically is once we get to be a small village, there is an upgrade that we can get where every type of burgage plot gives us money. It's kind of a tax thing. I think it's not quite a tax thing. But burgage plots can be leveled up. These are all going to be level 1 burgage plots. They can go up to level 3. Level 2 and beyond gives us money into our regional wealth. Now, the reason we would want level 1 burgage plots to give us money is because to construct the upgrades at the backs of some of these buildings, I think, costs money? I'm not 100% sure. Yeah, some of these cost money. So having money coming in is going to be really good for us. And I think there's also, like, if we get animals, if we get like a chicken coop, I think we have to get the chickens. I think we have to buy them. Yeah, it's like 20 gold for chickens, and chickens are really good. So basically, yes, we're going to want a source of money is what I'm getting at. Anyway, homeless people move into available burgage plots immediately. You can click on a burgage plot to view its residential requirements. Residential requirements increase approval when fulfilled. New families join your settlement when approval is over 55% and there is available living space. A marketplace is necessary to provide variety to the burgage plots. So I guess that's probably the next thing we want to build is a little marketplace. Now, marketplaces, A well-supplied marketplace is the lifeblood of your settlement. You want to place the flexible plot of the marketplace. The granary and storehouse workers will set up market stalls automatically. You can select the marketplace to check your supply and demand and supply capacity. And burgage plots closest to the marketplace get their residential requirements fulfilled first. So basically, we can build a little market in here, and I think this is going to be a good little spot for it. So we can do something like this. It fills up that space nicely, and we should have some people from the different buildings going over there from the granary and the storehouse, and eventually putting together a little market stall. There we go, and there's the other one. So that's going to start supplying things to our people, which is amazing. We have had some mushrooms stolen by nearby bandits. You've got to be kidding me. We're going to have to deal with that at some point, but that's okay. That's totally fine. It's not totally fine, but it's going to have to be. Now, we are in a bit of a predicament here because as it turns out, we are going to run out of fuel if we're not careful. So hopefully, if we speed things up a little bit, we are now a small village. This is actually very good. This is very, very good. A strong militia is paramount to the survival of any settlement. Luckily, a shipment of weapons has just arrived, and you will now be able to create your first militia banners to serve you and protect your people. However, we will need more weapons to equip all the people as the settlement grows, either by making them or importing them from other lands. So we need to form a militia. We've been given some spears and some shields, which is great, but this is why it's such a big deal that we have an iron deposit right here, a potentially endless iron deposit. We can just make weapons. We can make a ton of weapons, and it's going to be amazing. We are also a small village now, which gives us access to the Origins tab here, and this is what I'm looking for. So I don't remember which one of these little perks I'm looking for specifically, but I'm relatively sure that one of them does, increased regional wealth from burgage plots. So this will, all occupied burgage plots produce +1 regional wealth per month. Level 1 burgage plots are 0. So this gives us 1, which is amazing. This also reduces the upgrade cost of the burgage plots, and salt and iron or import value gets reduced. So if we need to import salt, that's actually okay. I think we're going to do this because instantly it gives us a source of regional wealth from these burgage plots. And that's going to be a really big deal for us. That's kind of going to be really, really important because what it's going to do is let me go in here and say, hey, once we get planks, we can get chickens. Once we get planks, we can get an animal pen, we can get an orchard, we can get an apiary. We have a way of turning our burgage plots into sources of food that we otherwise wouldn't have. Now, here's the cool thing as well. This 6th burgage plot is now done. We are at 58% approval, which means essentially we should have someone else moving in here shortly, which means I can go ahead and put our last unoccupied family or last unemployed family to work at the Woodcutter's Lodge. And by doing that, we should start producing fuel. We should get rid of this little red number 2 up here, and we should be okay. Now, as the game mentioned, every family does have requirements. Some of them want meat or fish or animal produce. They also happen to want a church. They're going to want water access. So at the very least, we can give them a well. And thankfully, there is a source of underground water right here. There's also one over here. So I think what we'll do is we'll put a couple of these in here just because I can. So we'll turn off snap to road. Well, nope, that's not the button I wanted. We'll rotate this guy around just a little bit and put him, I want to say right about there. It should be pretty solid. We can do a little well right about there. That's kind of a misclick, I'm going to be honest, but that should be all right. We'll do 2 wells right there. That'll make them just that little bit happier. And I think we did have a family move in. Yeah, because we have someone that's unassigned again. So they'll go ahead and start working on the wells, which is great. We're up to 5 months now of fuel, which is amazing as well. So how much timber do we have? 13? Okay. Let's get some more burgage plots. We kind of need more workers, and I do want to... I want to do my best to try and get some decent supplies in here relatively early. I want to get these burgage plots upgraded with some decent yards on them. So I think what we're actually going to do is start here, go the entire way around, and do something like this. Now, this looks ridiculous, and it kind of is ridiculous, but I love that we can fill this space. And those little bits on the sides of the houses, those are upgrade expansion spaces. So you can have 2 families per plot. Now, admittedly, the one plot on the right doesn't have any upgrade space or backyard, but I'm kind of okay with this. I think this will be cool. This is, again, one of my favorite things about Manor Lords is the fact that you can I make these smaller? No, I can make them bigger. You can fill in the spaces in a really cool way. And I'm sort of okay with this. So we'll go ahead and build this. That'll be another 4 families coming in here, which is going to be exactly what we're looking for. And I guess while we're here, we should look into a little bit of probably not industry. I'm going to be honest. I don't think industry is necessarily what we're looking for. What I'm looking for specifically is going to be a saw pit where we can refine timber into planks. We might also want a forester hut to replant some of what we're taking. We could potentially look into mining pits once we happen to get some planks. But I think for now, we'll go for a saw pit, and that'll give us some planks, which we are going to need for production. In fact, I think we'll go for the saw pit, and I think we will go for the forester's hut as well, just to get both of those things in here. In fact, the forester's hut, I think, will build first. It's a little bit bigger. It's kind of cool looking. I think it can live right about there. And then the saw pit, we could put it out in this road. It's kind of a cool place for it, out by the fishing. We could put it back here as well, which I think is also a cool place for it. So a little something like that will give us a little bit of industry in that general area, speed things up, and we can hopefully get these burgage plots built in no time at all. It is the height of summer, which is fine. We probably, you know what we should have done? We should have maybe gone for farms really early. Just thinking about it, farms might have been a really good idea. We also haven't touched fishing yet. So our entire source of food right now is mushrooms. This might have been, I'm starting to have doubts about this. I hope we survive winter. That's all I'm gonna say. I really hope we survive the winter because I'm not entirely confident that we will. Oh boy, I might have made a terrible mistake here, is what I might have done. But you know what? It'll be fine. We have 61% approval. We're gonna be all right, I'm sure. We're gonna be fine. Once another family comes in, maybe we, let me see here. Fish per pond. So this is the reserve. We want 80 fish per pond. You know what? There's another family in here. So we're gonna only fish this until there's 80 left. Let's put someone to work in here so we start getting some fish. And that's gonna hopefully keep us in a pretty good spot. We do still have construction going on, which is totally fine. The burgage plots getting built first probably makes the most sense. And I'm also thinking a little road coming out here is probably a cool idea. And I think a little road sort of going down here is a cool idea, just to make sure, oh God, they stole some planks or some firewood or whatever that is. We can just make sure that we have, room for people to get through what's apparently going to turn into like a block of houses at some point. I think this will be cool though. Anyway, we want to gain greater control over my production by selecting the advanced tab of a production building or an artisan's workshop. Artisan's workshops, by the way, those are these upgrades over here for burgage plots. I think you need a level 2 burgage plot, but you can basically build a bakery or a blacksmith or a brewery into the back of a burgage plot, which you will need to do at times because you don't get all of those different options as standalone buildings. So that is a whole thing. So we can reserve items. Workers will not work until you have more of the resource in surplus in the region. You can set production limits where workers will only work if you have less of that resource in surplus in the region. And artisan workshops often have a production focus that allows you to change the input and output of their workshop to suit your economy. So basically, when it comes to the saw pit, we want to say that we have a reserve of maybe 20 timber And then I'm not going to set, well, actually, you know what? I will set a production limit of maybe 100 planks just to make sure that we're okay. I think the forester here, we're going to just give them an unlimited work area, and that should be totally fine. And then the woodcutter, you've got an unlimited work area as well, which should also be totally fine. We do have 2 unassigned families, so instantly I want one of them to go and work in the saw pit. I think that's going to be really good for us to start getting planks right away, because as soon as we get planks, you'll notice, by the way, our regional wealth has gone up because we are getting money from each occupied burgage plot. As soon as we get planks, we can start getting things like chicken coops. We can start getting things like vegetable gardens, and that's going to be another source of food, which is going to keep us hopefully in a pretty good spot. That's the goal. That's the plan. That's what I'm hoping for here. We do have another family coming in, so let's put one of them to work in the forester's hut. And we're generally going to try and keep one family unassigned for the most part, for the majority of the time, just because I think it's going to be good for us. I think that's probably a good idea. Now, we do have some fish coming in here. We have 12 months of fuels, 13 months of food. I want to make sure, I think my goal here is going to be to make sure that we're in the strongest possible, I don't know, I want to make sure we have a really strong foundation to what we're doing here. I don't want them to die in the first winter. That would be really, really bad. It would be kind of, well, you know, I'll be honest with you. If they die in the first winter, this video is not going out. It's just not going to be a thing. You won't know. I'll just record another one. And the only thing is, this is a really good start. Having like 2 rich deposits right here. Because the thing is, clay is needed, I think, for some of the higher tier burgage plots. And then iron is needed for like the blacksmith to make weapons. So having essentially infinite sources of both of those right next to us is it's wild. I've never had a start this good in Manor Lords. So I don't want to die because, you know, we're not gonna get a start this good again, I don't think. It's kind of where I'm at. Hopefully that makes sense. So yeah, a little bit of how the sausage is made there, I guess, is, yeah, if I die horribly, you won't see this video. So if you're seeing it, you can assume that there's going to be another episode, right? That's how we can look at things here. Now, what I think I will do, since we have another family here, is I'm going to put another one to work in the logging camp, just to make sure that we have a really good production of logs and timber. I am considering the idea of spending a bit of our wealth on another ox, and I think I will, just simply because, oh, now hold on a second. I realize technically there's only enough space here for 1 ox unless we go and build, which we can do. We could build another stable, basically, another little hitching post, which I guess we're going to need to do because I've just got another ox. So we'll put this thing over here. I think that seems like a fine little spot for it. I don't think that actually takes anything. I don't think that takes any materials to build. So that'll give us space for both of the oxen that we have here. And that'll hopefully speed things up a little bit. It means that one of them can be going and doing construction. One of them can be bringing timber in. One of them can take timber to the saw pit if that's a thing that they want to do. So hopefully that's going to put us in a good spot. I don't see the second ox right now. I'm assuming that it's on the way. I'm assuming actually it will probably go this way, right? This is the only connection to the outside that we have right now is this trail through the woods. But that should be okay as well. I think we'll manage. I think we'll figure it out. We are up to 21 timber now, which means that we should actually have saw pit production, and there we go. Planks production is going to be go, which is amazing news. I don't remember. Oh, we have 5 planks already. 10. Okay, so it's 10 planks per log. That's kind of huge. That's going to be really good. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We can now get things like vegetable gardens. We can get things like chicken coops. We can get things like animal pens and orchards and apiaries. Now, I think the best thing for us would be some chicken coops. So I'm going to say that these plots over here, well, maybe. Do I want to do vegetable gardens? Vegetable gardens could be good as well. I think chicken coops are the ones that cost us money, right? Yeah, so we'll do chicken coops there. Let's do chicken coops here. And what is this? Not enough construction materials. Huh. That'll be fine. We'll figure that out. I think these guys down here are going to be vegetable gardens. I think we can work with that, and I think that'll be fine. The idea here is essentially that I want the burgage plots to be making their own food, at least as much as they possibly can be. Because if they're doing this, then just because we don't have farms doesn't mean we're going to be starving. Or just because, you know, these guys have hit their sort of quota for the year doesn't mean we run out of food. Basically, they start, you know, having some chickens, growing some vegetables. It should be good. We also apparently had someone that was homeless there for a second, but I think that's because there was some construction going on. So I think we're all right. And I'll tell you what else I think we can do just while we're here. Let's spend some of our timber to expand these plots so we can get 3 more families in here. And I guess we do have some planks again. Let's get these guys to have more vegetable gardens. I don't know how useful vegetable gardens are, but I do remember when I played this last time, things like these burgage plot upgrades are just ridiculous. They were. I know they've been changed a little bit. I know the balance has been changed a little bit and they're not quite as useful as they used to be, but they're still useful. In the couple of hours I played a couple of weeks ago, I know that these upgrades are still pretty good. And so I think we'll be okay. I think we're doing a good thing here with these upgrades. It'll be a nice source of food for everybody. We should be okay. And you know what? Since winter is approaching, we should expect, I think, some snow on the ground in the not too distant future. So you know what I'm going to say? I think you know where I'm going with this. I think this is a pretty good start, but I think we're going to leave it there for today. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. I'm sure there's a way to turn off the HUD and get like a nice little cinematic thing here, but you know what? Thank you so much for watching, everybody. This has been an absolute pleasure as always. Since we're back in Manor Lords and it's the first episode of the series, do feel free to, you know, like the video. It helps things out a little bit. If you're new around here, do feel free to subscribe. Either way, this has been an absolute pleasure as always. And as always, I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.